I began sending written communications to the CEO and to other top managers there, and spent about a year doing so. I didn't get very good answers from them. I did get some answers. He copied a number of executives on his response, initial response, and one of those was Tom Chapin, the manager of the fire resistance testing division, another chemist, and someone I didn't know at the time. Tom responded a little more elusively and mentioned that UL didn't test structural steel, but in fact tested steel assemblies made of structural steel and bolted together with fireproofing over them. I thought it was an interesting point for him to make, and it might have been one that had been considered before. The intensity of the fires was discussed, and over time, having followed the NIST investigation, I knew that the fires actually were not that intense. The steel temperatures seen were quite low. He also talked about the quality of the sample and so on. There are a number of comments he made. I was interested in the fact that he wasn't aware that fires were really not that intense, and that certain other aspects of the story were not quite what he thought they were. Anyway, I got these responses from these guys, and primarily they asked me, they told me they were working closely with NIST, or we were as a company, and that, you know, a lot of stuff was going on, but we were right in the middle of this activity, and I should be patient, and that the answers would be found. I did ask once or twice, again, I asked Tom Chapin at a large meeting we had of top managers in Northbrook, another 2 months later or so, and he responded even more vaguely then, saying that he didn't have more answers. He did point me to a New York Times article that had been written, and somehow that would help me understand. But if you've read that article from the New York Times from approximately January of 2004, you'll find that there's not much in that article, as there's not much in most major media regarding the events of 9/11 still to this day. Well, time went on, and I waited, and I followed the NIST investigation. In August of 2004, UL participated in the investigation itself by performing tests of floor assemblies that were made to model those floors used in the World Trade Center towers. They performed tests on 4 separate assemblies Some of these tests were done with considerably less fireproofing than was known to be in the buildings. But in each case they used the standard ASTM EY19, which is what they would use for whether it be floor assemblies, as it was at that time, or steel component assemblies, which is what Loring Knobloch was referring to having tested, 40 years before as part of meeting the original New York City Code. So in October of 2004, NIST put out an update on the status of their investigation. They were getting ready to release their draft report for public comment. And so they had this final presentation in October of 2004, and I was very interested, obviously, in how they were going to present their results and what conclusions they came to. And I was really startled by what I saw in their presentation. And although they did report the steel temperatures being too low, obviously, and the floors not failing, in their summary, so as a laboratory manager, I was very concerned. As an employee of Underwriters Laboratories, I was very concerned. As a citizen of the United States, I can't tell you how concerned I was. As a human being, I was concerned. And I think everybody should be able to relate to those last two, at least in our country.